is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon. This afternoon, as we are live from Blue Ember Smokehouse here in Rogers off of Pleasant Grove, 1723 Pleasant Grove Avenue is where we're at. And it's a great spot, and it smells of barbecue, which is always a great smell to start up a show, but awesome spot, awesome place, and here for lunch for the show today, fellas. It's good to see you in person, and it's good to be in a place where it smells of barbecue and that we're going to partake of some barbecue here soon.
Yeah. Second time's a charm. I'm excited about this. Cool place, and I'm starting to regret my decision. You know, they came over there and like, hey, you guys want some food? You want to grub? And we were thinking, oh yeah, maybe bring it out towards the end of the show, and we could show it off a little bit, and then we can eat after. But with the smell, the aroma, it's lunchtime, and I'm thinking 90 minutes? I don't know. I might have to slip off away from you guys and get a bite.
Dude, they're absolutely killing it here today, here at Blue Ember.
Just there was a line outside before.
Literally, people were waiting to get in Wednesday at 10:45. Man, love that. But yeah, happy to be here at Blue Ember, and it's going to be a fun show. I'm excited.
Yep, it's going to be awesome. It's a Wednesday, so we're at the midway point, and we're going to, of course, continue to talk Razorback football because that's still a thing. Coaching search, still a thing. Have not named a coach yet. We'll let you know when it does. And we'll get to all of that. We'll get to some of the stuff going around. The SEC had some comments from some SEC coaches that were pretty fascinating, one of them being Eli Drinkwitz. So we'll talk about that. We'll also have Michael Bratton of that SEC podcast. He's going to be joining us for an interview, catching up on what he thinks about Arkansas and the coaching search and some of the fits that may happen for Arkansas, which, again, I know we'll get to chats. We'll get to all that great stuff and have our heavy hitters presented by HD Roofing Construction. But, guys, I'm curious on your thoughts because I don't know how much we've really dove into this element, but the people that think that like you have to get the right fit at Arkansas for a head coach is, to me, that the most overrated thing. Like, I mean, there's a lot of overrated things that people look at as far as like, he's got to be an Arkansas man or something. But like when the people say fit, what does that mean exactly?
Well, that's a good question because it's probably different in the eyes of different folks, right? Because you could look at it on the surface, and I think you could go either way with like Eric Musselman, for example. You think about, all right, like West Coast guy, NBA, big city, this makes no sense at all to make this hire. But then you get him here and you see that he is absolutely, insane. And it was kind of the perfect marriage between his personality and the fan base for a while there. So he wound up, like on paper, when you brought him in, you're like, I have no idea how this is going to work. But then he wound up being a great fit until things all went to hell down there at the end. So, I think that's overrated. The Arkansas ties, Arkansas connections. I think it's just easy when you're in situations like this to connect those dots. It's like, all right, maybe this guy has an understanding of what we're all about over here. And from that standpoint, he gets it. And so maybe it has a better chance of working than somebody else. But I don't think that needs to be a prerequisite for it personally. I just want him to get a coach in here that can win football games. And if you do that, I think you're going to fit in just fine.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when people talk about fit, it's because you kind of understand that context matters. Some quarterbacks are better in the right system. Some coaches thrive in better areas than others, or some coaches need the relationship with the AD to work, and how's the NIL going to work? And so you think about all these things, but I think that, like you said, John, winning is the type of thing that changes all of that. Like, it's going to be easier to find that fit in the athletic department if you're winning. It's going to be easier to find that NIL fit if you're winning. It's going to be easy to find that quarterback that's really good that fits your system if you have a winning program that they can come into. And so I think the stupidest thing you can do as a football coach is look at players and say, do they fit our system? You make your system fit around those players that you think are good. I think it'd be another mistake if an athletic department looked at a coach and said, well, this coach, he might be very good, but he doesn't fit what we do. If he's a good coach and he's going to win games at your university, you make it fit. You make University of Arkansas fit for this next great coach that's going to make it work. And so I think all that matters, you do ultimately have to have a fit, but I think the big misconception is that it has to be a specific personality, specific background. Because like you said, Curtis, Eric Musselman on paper, he's a West Coast guy. He spent his career in the NBA. I mean, he's bounced all around, has no ties to the state of Arkansas really at all. And that was a perfect fit for a while there until it wasn't. And so I'm with you guys that I don't think that you should be shoehorning yourself into it has to be this specific thing. If you have a coach that you think has a vision and can work, you make it fit.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one too, because it's about the winning aspect where it could be anything. Just again, I'm not going to try to give it. It's a heck of an ice cream cone.
Crazy,
there was a, but it's like when you brought up Muss, you brought up all that. It's amazing how people adapt and adjust to whatever coach it is because it is winning. But it's also like the fit only comes into play when it becomes a losing effort. Like, I think about, even at schools not in Arkansas, you think about Ed Orgeron when he was at LSU. Was there a guy that fit LSU more than Ed Orgeron? I mean, probably not. And it was great. But as soon as he lost, he was like, don't want this. But then Brian Kelly comes in, family. It's like, what are you doing, man? Like, oh, come on. Like, what are we trying to do here? But if he keeps winning, or if he is at least winning at a high level and all that, then people are going to love him. And that's, I think, what people try to like misconstrued with almost, it's like in the same in recruiting, because it's like, oh man, the in-state kids, like those are the kids that we want. And it's like, yeah, but you're going to love the guy that's a 5-star player out of the state of Texas that's helping you win games more than as much as anybody, because they're helping you win. And I think that's just always a thing of like, well, what will they get along with the boosters? You know what boosters get along with? Success and winning. They'll flood money. Same with Arkansas fans. They will flood money if you win. And so I just feel like anytime someone says, well, you got to get the right fit, it's like the fit is winning, because you will adapt, you will adjust to that person. And I'm not trying to get political, don't start stuff, but I'm just saying, if you're somebody who's a conservative or a liberal and you got a coach that comes in and says, I'm the opposite of what you are, but he wins at a high level, you're going to be like, I never thought of politics that way. It's amazing how that works out. I like the, he shines a new light on things because you like winning. You follow winners. So I don't care about fits. I care about winning. Yeah. And and in fact, you put it, most successful coaches in Arkansas, most of them were not fits. You think John Calipari's a fit culturally in Arkansas?
Right.
I mean, this guy's going up and hanging at Yankees games and hanging out with Cushman or whatever. It's like, so I just think it's an overrated thing. It's nice if you have it, but winning, as we say, cures all.
Yeah, Cal came in rocking his suits, and everybody's like, "Who is this guy, man?"
Yeah,
and it's when you mentioned the political thing, and I remember it. Like either side you go, you're going to get the business. But when the like the House settlement stuff came out, and remember Donald Trump did like the executive order thing.
Yeah,
and Cal just tweeted about it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, cool. Like this is a step in the right direction." He was just getting roasted, bro, by everybody. It's like, I was a supporter, now I'm not. But the fit thing, it's also just a constantly moving goalpost because of the winning and all that. But like yesterday, for example, I tweeted out, I was just like live tweeting some quotes from Cal at SEC Media Day. And one of the things he said was like, hey, I'm not changing who I am. I'm going to keep recruiting freshmen. Everybody's out there getting transfers. I'm going to continue to recruit freshmen. And vast majority of people loved it. But then I had one person in my comments is like, why don't you let him know that there's more than one person in the natural state that should be on your roster? And it's like, he's recruiting at a national level. Like, what do you mean? Like, you got 5 stars, McDonald's All-Americans, everything like that. But if this was Mike Anderson, for example, you'd be looking at it going, how the hell is he letting all these dudes get out of the state? This is crazy. With Cal, you don't care because it's a different brand, right? So it's always going to be an ever-flowing thing. But at the end of the day, the common denominator, it's winning. You come here, it doesn't matter who you are. They could hire another, career offensive line coach, but if he came in here and won a bunch of football games, he'd be the best fit in the history of the program. So
I think another thing that's important to consider is that we are in this weird era where we view all these guys and they all have their past resumes. They've all been at different spots, and we use that to kind of evaluate what we think their potential would be at Arkansas. But the reality is we don't know. In a video game when you're hiring a coach and it has like, all right, hey, here's his program stability rating. Here's his NIL potential rating. Here's his whatever. And we view it that way. We're like, oh, if Arkansas hired Dan Mullen, they'd be able to get X amount of NIL. And then if they hired John Summerall, they'd be able to get X amount. It's like, we really don't know what that would look like. And I'm not here to tell you like, hey, yeah, this guy has a better chance than you think. But it's like, in this world of college football, in this world of how these rosters are made, there is no like foolproof, hey, it has to be this formula. We see some programs like Indiana who are hiring Kurt Cignetti, who was coming from a smaller school, and they have been able to make it work, and he has been able to generate that huge financial commitment. That is a very different thing than what John Calipari is doing at Arkansas, where he is a proven commodity that comes to Arkansas and has his own financial commitment in his own different ways. So whoever it is for Arkansas, the idea that it like has to fit this idea of what we think of like, oh yeah, this guy's going to come in, he's going to bring in NIL, he's going to get the state working, he's going to recruit these type of players, this is how it's going to work. You kind of have to open yourself up, because in this new day and age of college football, you look at the programs that are having success, they're adaptable, and they are going to find their ways to make their money and build their roster and find their success no matter what. You just need that guy that can also find that avenue to success. And it isn't some foolproof formula where back in the day it really did work that way. When you're hiring a coach, he needed to have that track record of proving, and you build it up year by year. It's just a completely different world that we live in. And so when you're trying to think of what these coaches can accomplish at Arkansas, it's not going to fit in some logical way that your brain can make sense of it.
No, not at all. Not at all. We'll continue to discuss this, of course, get into some of the other things going on in the coaching landscape, because I know a lot of you are pretty mad about some things, and we'll talk about that. But one thing that you can't be mad about is one of our new sponsors here at Inside Arkansas. It's the Drain Masters of Arkansas. All of you who have homes, some of you who may have businesses, things happen. So one of your employees may go into the bathroom, and you're like, oh, boy, that's going to end up being pretty bad whenever that ends. And then suddenly your bathroom's clogged. You got an entire problem with your plumbing. Well, don't worry about it, because you can have professionals help you out immediately with Drain Masters of Arkansas. They're licensed not only here in Arkansas, but also in the state of Oklahoma, and they are the best in the business. They know how to handle all plumbing and drain cleaning needs with professional and reliable service. So give them a call today at 479-646-5585. That's 479-646-5585. You can also scan that QR code right there on your screen. It'll take you over to the website where you schedule a service today, and be sure to tell them that Inside Arkansas sent you to get 10% off all of your services. It's as simple as that. Anything and everything plumbing related. No job is too big or too small. It's Drain Masters of Arkansas. They're the ones that have you covered. All right, so speaking with coaches and everything, Bobby Petrino at an SEC teleconference today. I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it since you guys listen to it. Any real bangers? Any breaking news from Bobby Petrino that we didn't hear from 2 days ago that he had to say on the teleconference today?
I'll give you the quick rundown about it. He enjoyed his time at Texas A&M. He was part of the process with Marcel Reed, and this is a kid who loves life. He still has not thought much about roaming the sidelines as the head coach in Razorback Stadium again. And let's see, they need to score points to beat Texas A&M, and it does change their preparation that their best player, Le'Veon Moss, is not playing. So that's what we got.
That's what you got.
Very standard.
For those that have not ever listened to these teleconferences, there are some local Arkansas media that will hop on. I mean, Andrew Hutchinson and Jacksonville are hopped on. But a lot of it is big picture, like national guys or reporters from other schools. Sometimes it's reporters from the opposing school. And they're trying to get, like, their big picture conversation. There's not a ton of X's and O's. What scheme you're running this weekend, coach? Well, how are you going to defend? It's like, hey, coach, what does it mean to you to be a father? I'm doing a piece on fatherhood, and I want to know what it's like for you as a father coaching football. What have you learned? It's always questions like that, and so it's so funny watching these people who don't understand ask Bobby sentimental questions and think they're going to get a good answer of like, hey, Bobby, is it going to mean a lot to you emotionally to be back out on that field as a Razorback coaching against a school that you were at 2 years ago? And he's like, literally, I don't care. I'm just, how are we gonna stop the counter? That's literally all I care about. I do not care about the fanfare. I don't care about the emotions. But it is funny because they ask the same questions to every coach, and Pittman was always good about that, by the way. Pittman's teleconferences were always good because he'd always be like, oh, I remember growing up in Oklahoma, having my feet in the creek water. It just like he would always have a good sentimental story to tell. Bobby Petrino's not the coach. If you want a good sentimental remember when, it's not going to come from Bobby Petrino. And it's so funny watching these guys trying to get that out of them.
Yeah, it's like especially at the SEC teleconference, because I remember I was talking to the Hawks Plus people when they did the special on Mallet on 1-5. And Tara Talmadge, I was talking to, it took them literally over a year to have a sit down with Bobby Petrino. And it wasn't because he didn't care. It wasn't because it's just, that's not his thing. He just doesn't tell stories. It's something that's different for him. And I think, people just need to come to expect that. And it's just funny too, because, if Petrino, say if they win this weekend or something, that'll probably change a little bit of like the questions that are going to get asked and the approach. But it's like, next week, say, even if they win or lose, and they've got Auburn coming to town, I have a feeling someone's going to be like, hey, what do you remember about your time at Auburn back in 2003? Coaching Jason Campbell and Cadillac Williams and all that. And he's going to be like, yeah, it was great. It's just like I'm sure Petrino, and I get it, I'm not hating on journalists or anything, but I'm sure Petrino's like, please stop talking and asking me about the past and about the stuff that like I don't care about right now. I'm trying to get a full-time job. Yeah. I'm trying to worry about, you said, work on the counter and everything. Like, I'm trying to do these things, and y'all asking me about this stuff that I do not care about. It makes me wonder, would he rather do that so that way he can just, kind of go through it and move on? Or does he somebody that like wants to be asked about ball? You know, is he somebody that wants to be asked about, like, hey, what on this play when the Mike linebacker was coming in, like, like I wonder if that's like suddenly he like perks up. He's like, I'm going to tell these guys about it right now.
Dude, I watched that happen to Belichick one time. Someone asked Belichick a question about special teams, like punt formation, and he just went on a rant. But no, I mean, you got to think about it. It's these guys literally are sitting in their office, and Kyle Parkinson comes and brings them a phone that's on speakerphone, and is like just sets it in front of their desk, and it's a 10-minute phone call where they just sit there and talk to whoever from the entire country can ask them a question for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't imagine he's thrilled about it. Dude, I remember Clark Lee back in his first year at Vanderbilt. There's a 10-minute slot for each coach. His slot ended after 2 minutes. That they literally, nobody had any questions for Clark Lee because they were that uninterested. It's cool now that he's, I'm sure he's getting his full 10 minutes now.
Yeah, we got
we got big stuff incoming.
Yeah, we got some Blue Ember Smokehouse. We got a smorgasbord of a full plate right here.
We got a rib over here.
Like I said, I just gained 2 pounds looking at this thing, but it's incredible. Look at this.
Oh, it smells good.
So looking like we got
sneaking the bites here.
I see some burn-ins. Looks like some turkey.
Gracious, man.
Some brisket right here. Is these jalapeno bacon wrap poppers?
Okay,
that's what we were talking about the other day.
They're called, hold up, because our buddy
brisket something.
Hot Springs brisket twisters.
Brisket twisters.
Yeah, forks and
Thank you, sir.
stuff. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Yeah, probably going to have to move these paper
put
towels
that brisket twister up in the air.
Yeah, you got a little more room over there. Why don't you put it over there?
I called it an egg roll yesterday.
An egg roll?
Yeah.
I don't think it's an egg roll.
Peyton was listening. He was like, if you want one of those egg rolls, they're called the brisket twister.
So.
Yeah.
Well, this is beautiful.
And just to be honest, that's the only reason we're having Michael Bratton on, so we can eat during the show and we can replay
exactly
that.
Right.
So it's the only reason it's happening.
To thinking about all this, like, and how the conversations will change, depending on what happens and who you're playing. Like, can we just imagine what next week is going to be like? Oh, hey, Bobby, Auburn coming in. Is it going to be weird for you? It's like a battle of the interim coaches, like, is this?
Hey, come on, Quinn. Hey, if you're listening, Quinn, I don't co-sign that. I think that losing to Arkansas would be when you got an interim.
Do you have any advice for DJ Durkin? I don't even know who's over there now. Their coordinators.
Who will be the interim head coach?
Bring back in Cadillac Williams. Wasn't that the guy who took over after Harsin?
Yeah. He's still on staff, right? Am I tripping?
He might be. I don't know.
Oh, good. Quinn is here, so he'll tell us who the interim is going to be. We've got
a week and a few hours. I'll be there. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. But yeah, no, that's the thing of like with these questions that getting asked. I'm hoping. Here's what I'm hoping, that if Petrino say if they beat A&M this week, which it's going to be crazy, but because we talked about it last week, but they beat A&M, I think a lot of the conversations and the questions he's going to be asked is about, all right, so you feel like you've done enough? You feel like you're the guy? You feel like does it just prove that you can do this? I think that's what the conversation and the narrative is going to be. But if they get embarrassed on their home field, like beat like mercilessly, and then I think it'll turn to where they're like, hey, so thinking that you may not be the guy, like you thinking there'll be some conversations that way.
I do worry, and it sucks because the next 2 games after that are, certainly winnable. And nobody's looking at Auburn, Mississippi State, and going, my God, Arkansas doesn't have a chance. But if they do get smacked around this weekend, it's it's a mime thing here, holding the rope, let go of the rope. Like I worry about them packing it in again.
That's a good Shedeur Sanders impersonation right there.
Yeah, that's what I was going for, man. Thank you. But hopefully that doesn't happen.
Hopefully it doesn't happen. But I also wonder, like, if they have a close loss again to A&M, would they still be able to carry that same intensity? Would they be like a dog that's like hungry, like we're so close, we got to get that win? Or would that be more likely to make them give up and let go of the rope, where it's like, damn, maybe this A&M game is just they're just punting this game, where they're like, you know what, this isn't our chance to get a win. We got 2 coming right down the pipe. Let's make sure we can get those. But it is going to be kind of interesting. Like we don't know much about the psyche of this team. Are they the type to feel that kind of desperation of like, oh man, we got to start winning games? If you're 2-5 after you lose to A&M, will they feel that desperation, or will they like dig deep and be like, actually, I don't want to. We don't want it that bad.
Yeah. Right. And also too, it's like I don't know nobody cares about the crowd as much, but it's like the weather looks stupid dumb this weekend on Saturday. Like it could be like tornadic of activity for all we know. But I still think there'll be a decent crowd. If you get worked, there ain't nobody's gonna be showing up to that Auburn 11 a.m. game. Like
11:45.
11:45. No one's gonna be doing that. It's just gonna be kind of a downer. And I'm not saying that you have to win in order to keep the fans there, but I feel like if you're still like highly competitive against a top 5 team who's undefeated, and like we talked about yesterday, could be the best team Arkansas is playing this season. I hate even saying that. It's like, keep 1-score game even if you lose. But it's, you want to keep it still interesting and people believing. But if you get wrecked and everyone's like, okay, this is done.
I think there's a big what if that we can have. And honestly, we don't even really need to do this. But, like, had Arkansas just started this Bobby Petrino interim era, like if Arkansas had played Auburn last week, I mean, I feel like if you just take the performances, I think they probably beat Auburn if they're playing them at home last week. Mm-hmm. I think they probably would have had a chance against Mississippi State, the version of Arkansas we saw last week. Imagine if it had been flipped and you played Auburn, Mississippi State, and then you played A&M, or then you played Tennessee. Like, I think it would be kind of fascinating, but I wonder how much it's going to affect it. Like, does the loss, like, how different is that Mississippi State game going to look taking place when it takes rather than how it could have been?
To your point about what you were just saying of what would be more likely, to get this team to continue to fight or maybe quit. Do they get blown out, or do they, play a really good game, competitive game, but lose again against A&M? That's kind of how I feel about Auburn after last week, because like they kind of pulled out all the stops, and you had Georgia on the ropes, and then you kind of got screwed
very
out
emotional.
of that game the way that it went, and then now like the writing's kind of on the wall with your coach, and guys are getting kicked off the team or quitting the tean, captains. I don't know what's going on there. Quinn would know better than me, but it just seems like a pretty volatile situation for them too. So. I mean, I guess if you beat Missouri, then that could be something that could rally you or whatever coming over here next week. But that is going to be a potentially a fascinating game between two teams that are in absolute hell right now.
I wish Arkansas and Auburn played right now.
I know.
Like, the more I think about it, damn.
Yeah, it would have been nice if that was happening. We'll continue to get to some of the discussions here because I want to play this clip from Eli Drinkwitz, too, because I think it is relevant to what is going on with Arkansas directly. But I want to let everybody know that BetSaracen is the official sports betting app here of Inside Arkansas. And the greatest thing about it is that if you go to the link below or you scan that QR code and you enter in promo code INSIDEAR, when you bet $25, you get $125. It's that simple. It's that easy. It's that quick. And you can win some big time money over with BetSaracen. It's Arkansas's #1 sports betting app for the reason. It's the best in the business. They do it better than anybody. It's really easy to use. And again, just click that link below, scan that QR code, take you right to the app, download the app, use Inside AR, and get $125 whenever you bet $25. And also, too, folks, don't forget, this Saturday for the Arkansas-Texas A&M game, BetSaracen is having a tailgate where, yes, Darren McFadden will be making an appearance, and he's going to be hanging out, taking pictures, signing autographs, because it is, I don't even know how to address it, but it's Darren McFadden Day, essentially, for the A&M game. He's being honored, and he is the greatest Razorback football player of all time, and he's going to be hanging out at the coolest tailgate there is, BetSaracen tailgate, so be sure to check it out with Arkansas's #1 sports betting app. It is BetSaracen.
And did we ever decide like exactly what that looks like? Because they're not retiring the jersey, but they're putting hanging one up, or
they're putting his name somewhere in the stadium.
Yeah, okay.
And then they're going to be wearing a patch.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
and the patch will generate way more traction, they say, than having his jersey retired.
Totally will, I'm sure.
If you want me to do the next ad read, I'll hand you a.
That's I'll just be over here suffering. But no, it was like, it kind of reminded me of when they put at the very beginning, which I know it changed now, but it's like, hey, we're going to do the slobber hog. We're going to put it next to Nolan Richardson's name. It's like, just put it on the court and stop making it complicated.
Right,
just do that. Like, that's what it reminds me of. But yeah, it's going to be awesome to see Darren McFadden. Listen, talk about a true hog. The greatest, and there's never enough honorings you can give to Darren McFadden. So keep doing it. But I do want to play this clip from Eli Drinkwitz, my friend, good friend, and everybody in Arkansas loves him. He's not one that really shies away from speaking his mind. He lets everybody know exactly how he feels. And one of the, you want to call them rumors, you want to call them speculation, whatever it was about their Kirby Moore, their offensive coordinator, who had been connected and or at least being interviewed, talked with for the Arkansas job is what was being reported out there. Well, Eli didn't take too kindly to that reporting, and here's what he had to say about it.
I kind of referenced it this. I got problems of my own, and I think the #1 issue right now amongst college football is the noise that's associated with people's programs at all points of the season, whether good, bad, or indifferent. There's no such thing as journalistic integrity on social media. There's just wild, outlandish reporting, and anybody's name, I'll bet every sitting head coach has been listed as a candidate for some job so far. And as a team, as a coach, we got to ignore the noise and focus on the things that we can control, which is winning and losing football games. Last week it was really unfortunate that Kirby's name got associated to something that was a complete lie. He'd never interviewed, didn't talk to anybody at Arkansas. It's a bunch of bull crap put out there to try to create distractions in a narrative that then comes over after the fact, after the game. And it's really disappointing, all right, that this stuff happens. Because, again, Twitter ain't real, and it's just a bunch of bull crap thrown on message boards. So how do I block it out? I ignore it. And I get mad about it when people ask me about it. No.
All right. So Eli Drinkwitz, very poignant, saying that's a lie. That guy never interviewed. And the fact that I'm having to deal with this is extremely frustrating because it was just a bull-faced lie, and talking about accountability, talking about rumors on message boards and Twitter. And I'm sure he's not the only coach that feels that way. And that's unfortunately what I know here in Arkansas we're kind of dealing with, is just a lot of rumor and speculation.
Yes, Eli, this entire thing about Kirby Moore interviewing at Arkansas was a calculated move to distract you from your season ahead of the game at the end of the year that you'll play against the Razorbacks. But hell, there's as good of a chance that he's lying about it happening or not that of anyone else out there. But I 100% agree with how he feels about it. I've been blown away, fellas, with, over the course of the last week, but really this week, the last few days, how many times have you been on Twitter and the first thing you see is so-and-so addresses being connected to this job or with that job or this other job or whatever. And it's everybody, man. And it's not just the guys where it makes sense for, like, okay, Summerall at Tulane, fine. Golish at South Florida, sure. Even Dan Mullen at UNLV, which he ain't going nowhere, right? But it's other guys too, like Matt Rule, Eli Drinkwitz. Part of the conversation here was like him being connected to the Penn State job. And it's just one thing after another. And it is distracting. It's something that can infiltrate the locker room, because if I'm hearing, oh yeah, man, my coach is he's bolting for this job, I better get a leg up on where I'm going and come transfer portal season or whatever. So I have no problem with him addressing it the way that he did, but I did think he was funny. Like this was designed to create distractions, and it's bull crap. It's like, nobody's trying to distract your program by saying your offensive coordinator is interviewing for a job that he has no chance in hell of getting.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious, because it's like, I think that it was definitely, I don't know why the person who made this thing up made it up. I really don't. Nobody knows, and I don't think they are around to tell the story anymore. But like, it doesn't. I think he's right to feel a certain type of way. I think he's wrong to assume that it was designed to distract his football team. But I'm with you. I have no problem with him addressing it pretty harshly and just being like, this is a complete lie, and like it pisses him off when he talks about it. And I'm not here to be naive and to say like, oh, Eli Drinkwitz or Alex Golish, when he was asked about it yesterday and gave like a 4.5-minute response, that these guys like have never considered that them or anyone on their staff would leave. Like, I'm not sitting here arguing that, but I do think they are like actual people that are doing their jobs that like, I actually believe Golish when he's like, listen, I'm doing my job at South Florida, and like, I'm here doing it every day, and I'm trying to do it the best I can. And there's so much outside noise. And is it rooted in something that could really happen? 100%. Like, he never at any point was like, oh yeah, I'm never going to leave South Florida. It's a possibility, but it's like, it must suck for these guys that are trying to keep 150 guys all on the same page, trying to come in and do their job every day, trying to be as focused as possible when you kind of have to deal with this outside noise. And if it's something where you're really about to take the job that weekend and we're about to play the conference title game, but I'm about to sign the contract on Monday, that's one thing. It's freaking October 15th. And it's like, there's like 6 games left on the schedule for some of these teams. I'm not saying that we shouldn't continue to have these conversations about who's going to be here, who's going to not. But I think if you're going to completely make up a rumor out of seemingly thin air, because it really wasn't a thing that was like there was buzz about, it seemed to be out of pretty much thin air, and there's nothing that's been backed up behind it. You kind of have to accept it when the guy who is affected by it comes at you and is like, you're a moron.
Yeah. No, and it's also too where, I'm not a journalist, I'm not a reporter. I know you guys have written a lot more than I have, but it's also just a cautionary tale of these things where I guess I get it, because we're in the content business. We understand giving people what they want, giving people what they want to hear about, what we want to talk about. And right now, everyone wants to know about the coaching search. Like, very seldom we could do 30 minutes on breaking down Texas A&M's defense, and no one would give a rip, because you don't care about the game itself, which is not a bad thing. You're caring more about the program and about the future and about Petrino and all those things. So we talk about it, but that's why it's like sometimes people get so wrapped up in it. We're like, I know that this is going to, people want to come to me for info. And that's why we see these anonymous accounts that start throwing it out there, because it's about attention and it's about like going with it. And it's just, I caution so many people of like, whether it's us, whether it's people that are writing on message boards as far as journalists or, on their websites or whatever. It's like, just don't do that. Just, be smart about it and to not make this a thing where, again, like you said, if Kirby Moore was a former Razorback that played here and, his family grew up in Fayetteville or something, it's like, okay, start making some connections. But when you just throw it randomly out there, it's like, you got to make sure, because again, I'm agree with Eli, but I also agree with what you guys are saying too about how, like, it's, I don't think it was a ploy. I don't think it was like this, it was an inside job, but it's also like, just, it makes it tougher for fans to know where to go when it comes to this info. And again, I'm not saying that we are the only ones that are right. I would hope that, and I know this, we won't say anything like this unless we like know or feel confident about it, because it's dumb. It's just, that's not our business. It's just to be like, well, Kirby Moore over there is getting an interview. It's like, where'd you hear that? Well, Hoggy Style 69 told me on Twitter. It's like, you gotta be just cautious about it and keep your head on a swivel.
It requires some situational awareness too, because the funniest thing that Drink said in that whole deal was there is no journalistic integrity on social media.
Yeah.
Like, and then he went on to say, like, Twitter's not a real place. You're right.
True.
It's not. And a lot of times it's not journalists who are saying those kind of stuff on there. And that doesn't mean that there's not random people who, might know a guy who knows a guy or whatever and can put good information out there at times, but it's really hard to verify or source or whatever. So that stuff happens at times. Is there really going to be somebody on there who's just like part of a coaching search? It's just going to, hop on Twitter on a burn and release a bunch of information. Those are the kind of things you have to be skeptical about, right? Other things you have to understand what's strategically put out there, because the university, or and not just Arkansas but other places, they will put things out as feelers to kind of test the waters with the fan base and everything. That might have been part of what they did when they announced when Pittman was fired that Bobby Petrino wants the job. I think back to the basketball coaching search, and remember the day before we found out about John Calipari, all of a sudden there was a random ADG article from Bob Holt, and I love Bob to death, but he wasn't like calling a bunch of people trying to figure out, who's Arkansas trying to get. No, he was just, whenever he found out, he was going to write a story about it. But then all of a sudden it's, they're interviewing Darryl Walker and also Chris Jans. And, well, where do you think that came from? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there's different levels to how this information gets out of there. And, at this point, especially with this being such a unique situation where it's going to be like a 2-month-long process, we cling so much more to every bit of info, every nugget we can get. Because if you don't, like I even noticed on the Discord, over the weekend, there was like one day, it was like 36 hours where there wasn't like an intel drop or, I've got this nugget, like whatever. And a bunch of people were like, man, it's dead. Man, it sucks. Like somebody tell us something, and I get it, because you're so starved for information. And to your point, I think then people are like, okay, I gotta
give them something.
Maybe I gotta put something out there, even if I'm not sure, or maybe I've heard this, but I'm gonna embellish it just a little bit. That stuff happens, man.
And yeah, you're right. And that's why when people start saying, oh man, it's dead, not long after that, you're gonna get some type of, oh, this is what I'm hearing. And fans in sports don't like to wonder. They don't like to guess. They don't like to not know how something's going to play out. And that's relatable, because we spend our entire lives trying to figure out what's going to happen. How's this going to play out? And so I get that feel, but that's why fans tend to gravitate to whoever says it with their chest, whoever says it the most confidently. It's not about who's right or who's wrong. Whoever goes out on a limb and says, this is my prediction, I think Rhett Lashley is going to be the head coach. That's who fans gravitate to. And because they don't care whether it's right or wrong, they just want to hear from someone that claims they know. Mm-hmm. And so that's why everyone on Twitter, whether it's an anonymous account, whether it's a guy on a message board, whether it's whatever, they all try and do this facade of like, I know. And then fans go to them, and then they get burned a few times, and then they get mad at them, find a new person to go to who knows, and then that person flames out, and then you go to it. It's like, or you could just wait till something plays out, and I know that sucks. I know nobody wants to do that. That's why I think we do a good job in this show of like, we talk about reporting from very legitimate sources. We're not going to go, hey, some dork Twitter account with 112 followers reported this, and so we're going to talk about it on the show. We didn't talk about it until it was confirmed that it was not true. We talk about like Brandon Marcello reporting, and even when we talk about Brandon Marcello, all those things you just talked about, Curtis, of how the U of A puts out messaging and how sometimes these reports come from legitimate places, but there's a reason for it. We don't even talk about Brendan Marcello's report like it's a fact. We're like, oh, okay, this is what he's hearing. Now, why would he be hearing that? What does that mean? And we try and have that conversation for you guys. But if you would rather, we could just lie and be like, hey, this is what we think is going to happen. Let's frame it like we know this is going to happen. That's kind of what sells. And so whenever Drink says stuff like there's no journalistic integrity on social media, he's 100% right. The people that are doing all this reporting and this scoop work and, I'm an insider knowing all this stuff, it's not coming from a place of good intentions. It's coming from how can I get a little bit, like 15 minutes worth of people paying attention to me?
So what we're saying is Ramon did not know.
Ramon did not know.
Okay.
I mean, like literally, he's like a prime example of this exact thing where it's like, oh, if someone just says, hey, I know this is going to happen, people run to that, and then they get burned, find a new guy to run to.
Yeah, and if people end up, like, it's either going to be one of two things. One, that's never happened in the history of, like, major college athletics where some random Twitter account said a report and then ended up being true. And even if it did, a dead clock's right twice a day. It was just like, oh, I think it's going to be Bobby Petrino. And then if it comes, see, I told you I was reporting it first. It's like, well, so you can always say a name and then it's going to be right. But then if you were wrong, you probably would never hear from them again. So it's just a cautionary thing that just, wait, be patient. I get it. But at the same time, just don't follow everything. And I think because there's some elements of people where if they really want to coach, they're going to follow the person that's saying, hey, I'm hearing this coach that you like. And they're going to be like, no, this person's right.
100%. And that's what people do all the time. They look on the internet, see which direction the wind is blowing, see what you guys want, and then frame whatever they're about to say because they think that's what you want to hear.
Exactly right. We're here at Blue Ember Smokehouse in Rogers. It's an awesome spot, folks. If you've not been there, I can't wait to dive into all the food. I mean, I told Cameron, intern Cameron's here with us. I told him to get a plate.
He did. He got a plate.
He got a plate, but I'm like, you got to put the food on the plate.
Is he trying to be like the, like if your food comes out first to the table, you don't want to eat till everybody else does?
You see, this is the thing is Cameron's too nice.
Way too nice.
He's
I'm just
too nice
begging
of a guy.
you to play another ad, dude. I'm just begging you.
To get to it. But it's an awesome spot, folks. So cool. come out here, and if you're needing some great barbecue, the newest barbecue place here in Northwest Arkansas. And they have other places and other locations around the state of Arkansas as well. You need to check them out. But want to remind everybody that here on Inside Arkansas Live, of course, we're presented by our friends over at Hickey and Hole Law. We know that all of the law advice that you may need and all the different help and guidance that you could need when it comes to your legal issues, it's extremely, extremely important to make sure you get the professionals that can help you out the best. And that's what Hickey and Hole Law is all about. They have locations all across the state of Arkansas, and they care about you. They want to make sure you're represented in the right way because they know that divorce cases, custody cases especially, they're so important. It's dealing with family. It's dealing with significant others. It's dealing with kids in a lot of cases. So you want to get that great representation. So do it with the people that's going to care. Do it with the people that's going to give you the best advice, the best guidance, and be with you every single step of the way. It's Hickey and Hole Law. You can call them today at 479-434-2414. That's 479-434-2414. You can also check out their website at hickeyandhole.com. It's Hickey and Hole Law. Things are about to get better. All right. Again, as Andrew and Curtis just went through, it looked like it was an eating contest over here to see how much they could get in there on that. So
it took Andrew way too long to get that turkey, man. That's
John was like, I can tell because I know that I have the Hickey and Hole memorized, so I knew where John was at, and I was like struggling to get that piece of turkey off.
I should have ended it early just to just come back on and just see trying to struggle with the turkey.
Randomly take the graphic off. Yeah, just so we look like idiots.
Yeah, just to keep it going there too. So, anyways, it's a great spot, and appreciate everybody tuning in and hanging out with us too. Again, we'll have our heavy hitters, and we'll have Michael Bratton of that SEC podcast. He's going to be joining us here in a bit too. But let's go ahead and get to some of your chats, folks. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Shout out to our guy Drake, because super chats get read first. Says if we went by fit, Coach Cal was Coach Cal of the Arkansas fit? No, but we want Coach Cal and we want the best football coach as well, which is kind of what we're discussing.
For sure.
But I don't know. Does Cal not give you the vibes of an Arkansas guy? Hanging out with a common man of the people.
It's weird because it's kind of the same thing that we're talking about. Is right away when you hear it, you're like, wow, this is different. And I even think that he probably felt a little out of place early on because it kind of seemed like they thought, well, John Calipari is the brand, so the stands are going to be packed no matter what. The enthusiasm is going to be through the roof. And now they've realized, well, you got to take some measures to connect with the fan base and everything like that. But that part of it makes him feel like a fit, getting out in the community, some of the things that they do with the charitable work. And he just really comes across as very relatable. And then you realize, John Calipari got to where he is in life and as a coach and with his career by being relatable to people, by being able to go into homes and have conversations with any type of family to get a recruit to commit to you by being able to go to any type of donor or place or whatever and get them to give you money. Like, he can do that. You put him in any setting and he's going to be the most popular guy in there. So it's kind of the same exact idea of, boy, on the surface, this seems like it's going to be weird, but now that he's here and he's settled in and he's had success, you're like, oh yeah, this is fine. This is perfect.
So I see our boy Pooh Bear, who says Coach Cal's the exception, not the rule. He's a fit anywhere, just like Rick Pitino at St. John's. I mean, come on. Okay, but that's our point, is like, that's what you should be chasing. Obviously, you're not going to get John Calipari, Rick Pitino in every sport every time, but you should be chasing that, not chasing the best fit. That is our whole argument, is that, yeah, some guys are better fits than others. Some guys need the right context. You should be looking for the best possible coach, and him being a fit is something you can figure out. You know what I mean? Like, but if you can get someone, I mean, hate to say it, like a James Franklin, it should not dissuade you being like, well, is he really a fit? It's like, was he a fit at Vanderbilt? Was he a fit at Penn State when they had a bunch of sanctions? It's like, you know what I mean? Like, you should be looking for the best coach, not the best fit. That's kind of our whole point.
Yeah, because I can tell you this. Cal, for sure, wasn't a fit at Kentucky. Like, that guy it was not a fit at Kentucky. It's like, they're the bluegrass state. You know, they're over there with a bunch of, people that just sit back in their stands and be like, I need you to play better, so I'm not going to stand up and cheer for you. It's like, that wasn't like, he's a Northeast guy. That's why UMass was so fitting for him, when he was up there. Or I guess, what was it, the Celtics or the Nets that he coached for? Was it the Nets? It was Patino that did the Celtics.
Patino was,
yeah, so like,
Larry Bird's not walking through that door.
Yeah. But then you had like when he went to Memphis. Did he fit in at Memphis? No. Yeah. It's like, it's just
did Bobby Petrino fit in Arkansas?
I was going to say that earlier.
Obviously, again,
Montana.
Winning made it fit, but it's like, what qualified when Bobby Petrino took the Arkansas job back in 2008? What qualified him as a fit?
Well,
nothing.
Because you loved the Hog.
But hey, Houston Nutt and Sam Pittman, those were great fits.
Yeah, how'd that work out? Well, I'm not going to start an argument about the Houston Nutt nonsense. All right, let's some other super chats. Quinn, our guy Quinn says, a week and a few hours, I'll be there.
That's right, man.
Yes, you will.
We'll be at XNA in 3 hours, ready to pick you up.
That's right. And he also talked about the interim coach said would be DJ Durkin, hoping we beat Mizzou. We beat Mizzou, have a manageable next couple weeks, but we lose to Mizzou. Durkin may be the interim.
Did Durkin do something bad back in the day?
Yeah, I think he was the one that was accused of like
he had a conditioning program that went a little too overboard.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, and I don't remember. Was it at Maryland? Maybe.
I think it was at Maryland.
Yeah.
I think he was the head coach at Maryland, and since then
that's right. Because I think it was like controversial because somebody hired Durkin before. Maybe it was like Harsin or somebody. Somebody hired him again, and they're like, it was controversial because of what he did. But Quinn also says, Curtis and Andrew, I'm going to get tickets for us on the 50th.
Let's go, man.
Let's do that. We've been wondering about that. Where we were like, I think we're going to the game with Quinn, but we didn't know for sure. We will have to leave at the end of the third quarter.
Yeah.
So take that into account if you want. But we're fired up about that.
Let's say. And if you can get in the north end zone, Quinn, for a relatively same price ticket, then definitely do that too. It's a place to be. Charlotte Park Sark, appreciate it, says, love the show, guys. Blue Ember is awesome. As much as I hate A&M, I like Elko. We need a hard-ass coach. Try the pineapple sausage
okay,
there.
You want to talk about fit, by the way? Mike Elko does not fit anything culturally, historically, anything with A&M.
Then again, who does?
Like, he's not that weird, flashy, he's going to appeal to the midnight yellers and all that. He is a blue-collar football coach who's like lunch pail type of blue-collar guy. Does not fit at A&M at all, but that's why he's a good coach, because they went and got someone who did not fit their stupid-ass program.
We had that chat pulled up, and I thought you were going to do you want to talk about buttered sausage?
Oh, no.
Pineapple sausage.
Pineapple sausage. That's apparently what they have here. Is that what's over there, or is it just
there's a lot going on over here.
I don't know if we have. Oh yeah,
we didn't get the sausage last time.
No, we didn't. I'm looking for it.
Yeah.
We can get ribs.
You want a fork full?
Yeah, well, we can just bang out some chats while you guys, stuff.
None of y'all need to be eating that sausage.
Yeah,
while we're on camera.
Man. Yeah, no, we can't do that.
Nobody wants
that.
They
did cut it up though, so it's not like it'd be like a full.
Yeah. Let's see. Omri says, why would we want someone to fit our losing program? We want them to fit our program like Curtis fits into a men's size 8 shoe.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's common in head coaching things. You go completely opposite of what you just had. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I feel like A&M got the like flashy, big money hire who was coming from a proven program. And then like they went complete opposite with Elko. Arkansas is probably going to go complete opposite from Sam Pittman, a disciplinarian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's what you do. It's like that's why you went from Houston to Bobby Petrino. Could not have two different people.
Not a big personality guy.
I was going to say a non-old, but Bobby's.
They're going to go old.
Yeah, they're going to. Because if they hired Bobby Petrino permanently, that'd be all 3 major coaches over 60, right? Like for the 3 big sports, all of them over 60.
Yeah, how about that?
With Cal being the oldest. Is he older than Dave Van Horn, Cal?
They're like right. I mean, what's Cal 65?
He's 66. I looked it up yesterday.
I think Dave's like 63.
Okay. Bobby's 62, I believe. So
Yeah,
be a nursing home
Old
of great
retirement
coaches. Yeah.
club.
Hall of Fame. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if Bobby Trino's a Hall of Fame coach, but the other two are, at least, for sure. Let's see. Hunt OZK says, would keeping Bobby save some coin for right players? Seems he can take us to the promised land with the right players.
You can certainly save your coin. It's just a matter of what you do with that.
Yeah. I mean, if they want to flip that to NIL or whatever, then that's great. You would hope that they would, I say they, but like the people with money, the donors, the boosters, whoever, you would hope they would do that for any coach.
Right.
Because it doesn't matter who the hell you like. You go hire Nick Saban today, but if he doesn't have better resources than they have now, it's not going to matter. So hopefully that would be the case anyway. I understand that method too of like, okay, you're probably not going to have to pay Petrino $9-10 million like you would to get another highly qualified coach. So flip that over to NIL or whatever. I just don't know how sustainable that is. And the sustainability is the only thing that I'm worried about with Bobby. Now, in fairness, could it be really good for 2 or 3 years and then you're in a better situation and then you upgrade again? Sure, but I would rather just get the guy now.
It sounds good in theory, and maybe that's like part of the plan. If that's part of the plan, cool. I knowing the University of Arkansas and how they like to spend money, I think if you give them a discount at one aisle, I don't think they're going to go to the next aisle and spend the money that they saved. I think they're the type to save every penny they can, and so they're not looking at it as, oh, we don't have to pay our head coach $8 million, so we can afford to do other things. I think they're just like, hey, maybe we don't have to fire people next summer. Maybe we can still drag our feet on this naming rights thing.
Well, that's and that's something I was talking in the Discord last night, and I'm going to say like, oh, my sources are telling me, but my understanding is that one of the, because it goes back to what we were talking about when it first happened, when we heard about Petrino who really wanted the job. We kept thinking like, why would he want this? Why would he want it? And I brought the points like he has to have assurances. Like he has to have people that have said, hey, if you get the job, we got you. Because Petrino was part of the program when he saw Sam Pittman getting nothing financially. So it's like, why would Petrino want the head coaching job when he saw Pittman get nothing if he was going to get nothing? Like he wouldn't want that. Like nobody would want that. So there is assurances in place that would Bobby Petrino get more NIL money support than any other coach they hire? I don't know, but I know he's going to have a significant amount more than Pittman. I mean, geez, just give him $10 and that's probably more than what Pittman had. So, but again, if it ends up, as I've tried to tell people, Mike, if the worst you do in this coaching search is you hire Bobby Petrino with a significant, massive improvement in NIL funding, that's not the worst thing in the world. That's all I say. It's like, if that's the floor, if that's the worst you could do in this coaching search, you could do a lot worse.
That goes back to the point of like all these coaching candidates. Like it's like when people are like, "Hey, would y'all be good if they hired Golish?" Well, yeah. Are they going to give Golish money?
Yeah, that's the point.
Then yeah. Oh, would you be all right with them hiring Lashley? Well, are they going to give Lashley a ton of money? Then yeah. Would you be okay with them hiring Bobby? If they give him a ton, it's like that's going to matter. And so it's like if the rich people want a specific person, whether that's Bobby or someone else, I don't really think we're in a position to be like, no, actually, you shouldn't. Yeah. You shouldn't spend your money that way.
No, not at all. We'll continue to get to your chats, folks. We're live from Blue Ember Smokehouse here in Rogers, but want to remind everybody that the holiday season, Halloween will be here before you know it, but we also know Christmas is around the corner. The weather will start changing, and you want your house to look good when it comes to the decorations, but it's a lot of work trying to get up there and trying to put things on your roof. I mean, I know all of you have seen Christmas Vacation. You try to think you're Clark Griswold out there, and then you end up hurting yourself and falling off the roof and doing all that. Like, don't deal with it. Just let the professionals do it. Let Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas, let them do it, because they do the best job when it comes to installing the lights. They provide all the materials that you could possibly want. And the greatest thing about it is that not only do they put them up, but they take them down for you in January. And if a strand goes out, if a light goes out, they'll be right out there to fix it free of charge. No questions asked. So give them a call today, or give our guy Brett a text today at 479-459-1380. That's 479-459-1380. You can also like their Facebook page, scan that QR code right there, and it'll take you right to it. You can see all the different examples that they have of showing off the great work that they do with Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas. Give Brett a text today at 479-459-1380. All right, some other chats that we'll get to. A shout out to our guy Logan, said he gifted 5 Inside Arkansas memberships.
Good man right there.
Yeah, appreciate you, Logan. Chill out on the Discord.
Let us know who got him, by the way.
Yes, because we got Aaron over here, who has been a member for 3 months. Says Blue Ember Smokehouse is legit.
Yeah,
which it is legit.
It is legit.
It is legit.
No denying that.
Let's see. Chase says the way that some players have described Petrino practices gives me straight goosebumps. We have our coach already. See, this is the thing, Chase. I've been fighting this myself. I get it. It is exciting, but the results have to come with it. And so, all this doesn't mean anything if you go ahead and get blasted by A&M, which I'm not saying you have to beat A&M, because A&M's a really, really good team. But if you get embarrassed on your home field, you just can't have it. You cannot have that. This Arkansas team is good enough to compete against A&M or good enough to win. I don't know. I don't know if they have as much talent. I don't know if they're as well coached, but they're good enough to compete. Just compete. Get to the fourth quarter where the game's still in doubt, because last time we saw this team at home, it was just blowout city and embarrassing, and nobody wants to see that again.
Yeah. And I also want to see, I don't know, tell me about a John Summerall practice and an Alex Golesh practice. You know what I mean?
I'm sure they're tough.
Yeah, we just know about it because of the history with Bobby, and obviously the players are talking about it now. That's what puts him in such an interesting position, because his interview process, his audition is at Arkansas, where we're paying attention. We all watched the Golesh versus Eric Morris game on Friday of last week, but that only tells you so much, man. We're in the trenches with Bobby right now, so we know a little bit more about it. But I do agree that it gets me going a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's different. It's more intense, and those are kind of all the things that people are looking for. So I understand why people could hear about that stuff from the players about, man, yeah, this is different. It's more intense. We're being more physical, and you're all just like, hell yeah, brother. Well, a lot of coaches might be like that.
I just don't want to get into the point of, like we know from our friends over there at Big Blue Nation, like, this guy just gets it. He just gets it. Anytime he says something like, oh, man, this guy, man, golly, he talked about running the play action. You can't get anything better than that.
That was a hard listen.
John, you have been accused of talking about Petrino like people, like Kentucky fans talk about Pope.
And that's fine. That's fine. But you know what? If it works out, it works out, and I'm all for it. But, there again, it comes with the excitement, and I get the excitement for it. But it's a matter of, okay, but where's it coming from? Like, where did it come from and where's it at now? He came from Sam Pittman, where it's like, oh, man. And then you get Petrino, it's like, yeah, it's like a breath of fresh air, but it wears thin if you start losing. It really will.
When I think you obviously are in the right mindset of, like, you have your flag and you're ready to plant it, but if they lose the next 4 games, obviously you're not going to plant your flag there.
I'm out.
You don't have to plant your flag on October 15th. You can wait. You can wait and see how this thing plays out. You can even get it ready. You can maybe even start carving out the area. You don't have to plant the flag and keep it there until this thing plays out. Like, I don't think anybody should be at a spot right now on the Bobby thing, one side or the other, where you are not willing to change your mind. If you think he sucks, you should be willing to change your mind if he wins 4 games.
Yes.
If you think he's the best coach of all time and deserves a job right now, you should be willing to change your mind if he loses the next 4 games.
Just be open-minded about it, and don't get mad if it's like the coach that you want. And say if Bobby wins 4 straight games here, but the coach you wanted was John Summerall or whatever, and then you're like, I am so mad that we won 4 games. I'm so mad that we're hiring Petrino. This is a disaster. I'm like, just let it play out and get over it and be okay with it, man. It's like I'm telling you right now, and I don't mean to sound like a jerk, but I am going to kind of sound like a jerk. You have no say in this coaching search, just like we have no say in this coaching search. We can sit here and hope and pray all day long, but if you think you're going to perform a coup like Greg Schiano over there at Tennessee when they try to hire him, you're out of your mind. Like, it's just not going to happen. So I get, be passionate and all that, but at the end of the day, no one's going to give a rip what you think, what we think, what anybody thinks, especially those big money. They didn't become stupid by listening, or stupid with money and becoming millionaires by listening to people like us. They're going to listen to their wallets and see how it all goes. But
sometimes they could go into questionable places, because I think about that North Carolina thing, and I was listening to Josh Pate last night, and he was kind of talking about that exact situation where they should have Summerall right now over there, but they don't. And then it was like the big money folks took it out of the AD's hands, and you wind up with Belichick, which is like, wow, splash hire, this is great. And it's an absolute unmitigated disaster.
Yes.
And but it goes to the point of they don't give a damn what we think about anything.
No. Showtime, one brings it says both can be true. You can think Bobby's a good coach and want him to win, but not think he's the guy to lead this team thing for years to come.
100%.
Which I agree. But again, it's like this is the position you're in. And it's a matter of if Bobby won, we're just using the 4 games. Say if you won 4 games, put him at 4-3. Arkansas goes to a bowl game, mind you. So who knows? Maybe he could get that 7th win on the season. So he says he goes 5-3. Like, I'm sorry, you have to give him the job. Assuming he wants it, assuming he's supported, you have to do it, because how disastrous could that be where you say, you're not getting the job, and you would wait until the end? Because if you tell Bobby he's not getting the job right now, he's going to mail it in. I wouldn't blame him. But it's like, at the end of that, you're like, okay, you're not getting the job. You better have somebody big time. You better have somebody where it's like a quintessential, no questions asked, better coach right now immediately than Bobby Petrino. Like, you better have someone in the arsenal, because if you go through this nonsense of like, we're going to talk. You give everybody else raises because you're spending time with it, then it's going to be a disaster no matter what. So you just got to be careful about it.
Right. And I see Showtime Productions followed up with, I do not agree that you have to give him the job.
Well, okay.
Again, I go to, okay, so if he goes 4-3, like he gets Arkansas to a bowl or whatever, if you're not going to give him the job, you better be getting a dude. You know what I
That's
mean?
what I'm saying,
Like, and so that's I think that's where we're at with it. It's not like, okay, Bobby wins 4 games, but you got Dan Lanning on the hook, but you just have to hire Bobby Petrino. No,
Right.
That's not what we're saying at all. So I want to make sure that we're clear on that, even though I feel like we continue to repeat ourselves during this conversation. But I know people pop in and out at different times. Like I saw our OU fan, which welcome, by the way. It's like, I can't believe these guys are just okay for settling for Bobby Petrino. It's like, well, there are qualifiers here. You know?
Well, like Showtime's initial stance of saying, you can think he's a good coach and want him to win, but not necessarily think he's the long-term solution. That sentence describes my exact sentiment. Like, that's exactly how I feel. And so I'm kind of with you, Showtime, where like, say he wins 3 games, because that's kind of the mid-range.
Yeah.
We agree. If they go 5-1 down the stretch, like, it's not like there's not even a conversation. He gets hired unless there's a Dan Lanning or something stupid like that. But we agree, like, if he wins 5 games, he's going to be the coach. 3 is kind of that weird range where you be 5-7, and so you definitely by any means don't have to hire him. And so if he got hired in that circumstance, I would be with you, Showtime, where I would say, are we sure this is really the best big picture solution we could do? I would also understand if they went that direction, but I think anything over that, like they win 4, 5, 6, you have to kind of accept that they are going to hire him. And I'm not saying you have to be thrilled about it, but it's like, I think a lot of times we do this thing where when something doesn't work out, we're like, how did that happen? Like when Arkansas loses in Omaha, it's like, how did that happen? It's like, well, they hit a ball to Charles Davalon. Like, he was the right guy to play left field. Behiva was the right shortstop. Reese Robinette was the right first baseman. They all made bad plays. But we're like, so if the thing doesn't work out and we're going to be like, how did this happen? It's like, we won 5 games, and the boosters rallied and the money guys got behind him. The entire state got behind him, and they hired him for a couple years. Like, that's kind of how this would play out. So I guess if I tie it all up, I think that is Showtime's worst fear, is that Bobby wins enough to get the job, but doesn't win enough to really
earn it,
keep it for multiple years, and actually do something with it and inspire the states of the folks of the state and get a bunch of money involved.
Well, and something I thought maybe we'll do this tomorrow, so just remind me. I thought about for the final 6 games, almost doing a value indicator of like, okay, how much would this win mean? Like, say if you get 3 wins, all right, like what we're talking about. What 3 wins would it need to be to make it be like, okay, you got to give Bobby the job? Because I don't think every win and every game on the schedule is created equal. Because, as weird as it is, that game against Missouri at the end, that's worth so much more because that's your final impression than, say, like, beating Auburn next week.
They started 3-0 and then lost out.
Yeah,
very different conversation.
Exactly. Because then you go into the bye week and you're flying high. You're like, holy crap, man! All we need is one more game and we go to a bowl game, and then you lose to LSU, lose to Texas, lose to Missouri. It's like, all right, well, that was fun.
I will also say, because I know we're all, we're doing the thing right now where we all have to plant our flag and we all just have to stand there. It is, if they hire Bobby as the head coach, I know how that makes it seem like, oh, this is a huge commitment and you're really tying everything to him. In this particular situation, I think there is a path where you hire Bobby as your head coach and it's like a 2 or 3 year thing. Yeah, I think that's very possible.
And that's also my thing, too. You think he's going to be here for 5 years? No. Cal's not even going to be here for 5 years.
I mean, Bobby's never stayed anywhere more than 5 years.
Yeah, and like somebody was like, are you going to, what if everything ends in a crash and burn with him every time? I'm like, hey, if he goes 21-5 in the next 2 seasons, I will welcome firing him again for having a mistress on his motorcycle. Bring it on, because you went 21-5. Like, if success comes with it, that's the thing. But I also believe, we'll see if they hire him, what the contract looks like too, because maybe he has a little bitty buyout, like, and then suddenly it's not as tough to get rid of him and move on. I don't know. I mean, we're talking about stuff that needs to take place first, but it's just, I think that some people, not everybody, but some people are just so concerned about this thing way down the road where it's like, man, we're at step 1 and you're over here at step 88 of like what's going on.
This is not as complicated as we're making it. Like, it really isn't. If he wins a bunch of games down the stretch, they'll probably give him the job. If he doesn't, they're probably going to hire someone else. Yep. Like, it really isn't that complex, and we just kind of need to be okay with that.
Yeah. Bobby would also have 0 leverage.
Oh yeah,
he could win out the rest of this season and win the bowl game, and he'd have 0 leverage in the negotiations.
Yeah,
we're gonna give you this contract, and you're gonna have this minimal buyout, and you're gonna take it because what are your options? Well, are you gonna go coach at another SEC school? You're not.
And I know we're gonna get to our heavy hitters, but it's a great point, Curtis, because people may forget, because I always remember the nonsense that went on with Petrino at the time. before he was fired and everything. He signed a contract extension that gave him a $16 million buyout if he left somewhere. Now it is not that much money, but at the time, that was stupid money. $16 million in 2011 was stupid money. If he left, if he got fired, of course, he got fired for cause, so it didn't matter. But if he would have gotten fired, his buyout was about half of that, maybe even less. What showed is like Bobby's not trying to go anywhere. And there's a lot of cases, like, does Bobby try to leave? The only place he actually left was Atlanta, and he was like, because I'm out. Like, I want out of this thing. And the reason he left Louisville is because it was an opportunity to go to Atlanta. Like, he's gotten better jobs. But, again, if you get 3 solid years out of Bobby Petrino, and that was another thing, too, real quick, as I know we're spending a lot of time on this, but I was telling somebody, I'm like, hey, you think Petrino's a better coach than Sam Pittman? Yes. All right, well, Sam Pittman averaged about 6-6. He was a 500 coach at Arkansas. If you think Bobby Petrino's better, you think that he'll be better than that, right? Yes. But how's the margin? Is it 7 wins? Is it 8 wins? I don't know. But that's why I keep saying, if the worst you do is a better coach than Sam Pittman, then you're improved. You're improved.
I think the thing that probably scares a lot of people, and it's the last thing I'm going to say on this, is that when you hired Chad Morris, you hired a guy that no other SEC school would have interviewed, let alone hired.
Yeah.
And when you hired Sam Pittman, you hired a head coach that no other SEC school would have interviewed, let alone hired. You could be making it a third straight time of hiring Bobby Petrino, where that is a coach that no one else in the SEC would even interview, let alone hire. And I think that, in a nutshell, scares people, and it should.
Yeah.
But I also think this is a complex situation with some nuance, and it's not a apples-to-apples comparison.
Yeah. A few more chats here, and we'll get to the heavy hitters, folks. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate Blue Ember Smokehouse for having us out here in Rogers. Logan also gifted 10 Inside Arkansas memberships. So
Dang,
big money, Logan.
Yeah, about to say he's coming in. Instead of doing the $500 super chat, he's just going to start doing like 50 Inside Arkansas memberships. So giving more to the people instead of just us over here too. All right, a few more here. Trey says, out of the Inside Arkansas voting, do you guys think any of them have told us no already? I think Rhett Lashley said no. That's my opinion. It's just an opinion. And I think Rhett Lashley is a no.
I mean, that's been put out there a lot, that he's, his preference would be to take the job later, last job, what the hell ever, which if that's true, I wish that wouldn't have been leaked. Like, could we at least done like the thanks but no thanks thing? But it just seems like you're ducking smoke, man.
Yeah.
So that's a major turnoff to me if that stuff is all accurate there. But who else? Like Dan Mullen already said no to everybody. So
it's true.
if we're to believe that.
Well, the funny thing is, like,
Kirby Moore's also out, by the way. Kirby Moore.
Yeah, he told him no.
Told him no.
I will say, I doubt any of these guys, even Lashley's probably the closest to it. I doubt any of these guys officially said no, because it's really not like they mail them a contract and it's like yes or no. There's a lot of conversations. You know what I mean?
Nobody is going to say yes halfway through their season. So that's the tough part.
There's ways you can, and by the way, that's important to note that we're in the middle of October. It's not that hard to table this discussion. And so if someone said no,
right,
I think they probably worded it differently of like, oh, yeah, I'm just in the middle of coaching this season. Let's talk. Let's kind of drag this thing out.
Yeah, Bobby certainly didn't tell anybody no.
No.
Dan Mullen told the entire world no, but he's done that before, then bolted like a week later.
Mm-hmm.
Lashley is what it is. Who are the other two that were in the top five?
Sumrall and
Franklin.
Yeah.
Franklin
has not told him no.
Franklin is
he will, but he has not.
Yeah, he has not told Arkansas no, but Bud Elliott told Arkansas no for Franklin.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, it's amazing how that happens. A few more here too. Let's see. Slick 420 just says, as a Vols fan, I'm rooting for Arkansas. Woo pig. Okay.
Yeah, he said that the other day.
Okay, you're just saying that because you guys won. Like, if you guys would have lost, you would be hating.
Well, we have Auburn fan in here today. We got Georgia fan in here today. We got a Tennessee fan in here today. We got an OU fan in here today.
Why is the OU fan in here? I
just want to point out that when the college basketball season gets up and running, we're going to be doing an SEC basketball podcast. Okay, so if you're tuned in, like for whatever reason, I don't know, we're glad you're here, but you want to hear us talk ball that might relate to you a little bit more, stay tuned for that once we get into the college basketball season. I figured if half the damn SEC fan bases are in here right now, we might as well plug it now. Okay, So there you go.
Exactly. Let them know. Again, we'll get to more chats here in a bit, but let's go ahead and give into our heavy hitters here on the show, presented by our friends over at HD Roofing and Construction. We know storms can hit. In fact, there's reports saying of the weatherman, the meteorologist, if you would, that the storms may be hitting this Saturday. Some nasty stuff, even tornadic activity. Let's hope that's not the case. But if it is, you better make sure that your roof is good to go. So give HD Roofing and Construction a call and get that free inspection from them, because they're going to give you that peace of mind. And if you call them today at 501-428-0429, they have all the professionalism that they're going to deal with. They will use the top quality materials. They're hardworking, and they're going to be honest with you. If you go out there and your roof is good to go, they're going to let you, hey, your roof's good. Don't need anything done to it. But they are going to let you know if there is some damage, if there is some replacement that is needed. And don't hesitate, don't wait, because it's extremely important to make sure that your roof is good to go. So do it with HD Roofing and Construction. Again, call them today at 501-428-0429, as they are the official sponsor of our heavy hitter segment here on Inside Arkansas. Okay, so heavy hitters themselves, which I guess we could kind of use some of the chats for at least mine and for, I don't know if you guys have the same things, but just from that, first off, I like us, and as we talked about, Curtis, maybe we should be heavy hitters. Just glad we didn't go to SEC basketball media days, just to be honest.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it's always fun to travel and fun to hang out, but it's like, man, that was a
little lame.
Yeah, a little lame. But, hey, it wasn't like we were expecting that, oh, man, it's just going to be crazy, and this Cal's going to come out here and be like, hey, this guy's going to be an All-American. We're going to go to the national championship. Like, it is what it is. But between that and also just between the, like, seeing Cal and seeing, him talk and, him laugh at the reporter. He's like, you got mad because you didn't get to ask me a question, which, I just wish I could see the guy's face of like, did he just be like, nah, just like throw something down because he didn't get that question? Because he had to do something. But I just love hearing from Cal, man, especially in those elements, because he answers his own questions. He doesn't care about anybody else and what they think.
Yeah.
And I just love that. And I just love the fact that basketball is such a thing in SEC now that so many people care again. Like care about basketball, not as much as football, but you see Nate Oates, you see guys like Golden, guys that just are very successful and everything too. I'm glad we didn't go, but also I'm glad that the Field of 68 decided to use a lot of our content. It was great.
They did, man. They were ripping the video, but they were at least crediting us for that.
That's all that we care about.
But yeah, man, and that was kind of that. I mean, obviously, I got a 1-month-old at home, so I don't know that I would have been able to go anyway. But as an operation here, we've had a lot of really good time. It's an awesome trip. I have a lot of fun. I like talking to the players of other teams and everything like that. We would have wound up getting some really good content from it. But at the end of the day, Coach Cal's not going to sit and eat lunch with us and talk to us off record for 45 minutes like Muss did.
Nope.
Muss was a good dude, but maybe he did that because he didn't have any friends in the league. Like, I don't know, man. But it's like we didn't get that aspect of it. And then for me, it's about the players. And I love TB. I've known Trevin since he was a freshman in high school. I've interviewed that dude 1,000 times. I have interviewed him right there where he was sitting yesterday, asking him the same questions, got the same answers. How much would we get out of that? We know that DJ Wagner, great kid. I think he's going to have a really good season. He's an extension of the coaching staff with the words that come out of his mouth there. So it's like, we had to kind of weigh it. And it's like, do we take this trip or do we take one to a game? Do we go down to Dallas for the Texas Tech game? Do we go here? Do we go there? And so I do think it makes sense from that standpoint.
Real quick, too, just because a part of also the heavy hitter I meant to bring up was, one, it was good seeing Coach Mike Neighbors, on there.
Yeah,
That was kind of cool. That was I think he did a great job. But he's awesome at that. And also, too, it made me laugh because you talked about with Muss. He was being asked by Alyssa Lang. They're like, hey, what's the interactions like with coaches? Is there any trash talking when they're walking around or anything? He's like, no. Everyone's really nice. And I was like, wow. And not every coach was. Maybe every coach. Like some coaches were just like, go after yourself as they're smiling through and shaking hands. But that just made me think of Muss.
Muss had a lot of trust with us. I remember sitting at the at that lunch table with him one year, and like we all sat down there, and he was like, "You guys record this whole thing, and you're smart enough to know what's on the record and what's off."
Yep.
Yeah. And most of it was off, but he let us record it. Like he trusted us in that manner. And I'm like, wow, man, it kind of makes me feel good.
And I'm sorry, Andrew, because I know you're going to hate this, but it's like, do you remember when we were eating lunch and then Muss sat over there? Was like, all right, we're going to give him some space. And then Bob just was like, walked right over there. Started like, dang it, Bob. So then we had to get up from our lunch and go over there. But those were, it's good. It's fun, but it's just not as big of a deal. You got 32 teams in 2 days. That's absurd.
Yeah, that was wild yesterday.
Like football, they do 16 teams in 4 days.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine all that. So, anyways,
dude, and they cut off Cal and Kelsey Music in the middle of their interviews on the podium. Went to commercial, which was crazy. My heavy hitters. I've got a couple, but I do want to shout out the women's basketball team. For being down there. I thought they all did a good job. I thought Kelsey Music did a really good job. You're a basketball coach, and part of that is like you got to do press conferences, and so you kind of have to be a public speaker, but that's not a comfortable environment for a lot of people. And right before our show yesterday, I was watching Georgia's women's coach. She came up there. She was giving her opening statement. She's like reading from a sheet of paper, and she legit got to one of her players, couldn't read what she wrote, and then forgot her last name. Like she forgot, and she was saying it there. She's like, "Oh, I can't even pronounce it," and like apologized to her SID. And then she was real shaky, and it was awkward. And I was like, God, man, this is brutal right now. And Kelsey Music didn't do that.
That's
And
good.
so,
That's good.
she's off to a good start. But I do think they're going to be fun to watch, man. She talks so much about playing up-tempo brand of basketball and really pushing the pace and shooting a bunch of threes. So it might take them a little while to get the type of talent they need in there to be super competitive. The SEC is really good, but I think they're going to be fun to watch. So they got my support. I'm looking forward to checking it out this season. So I wanted to throw that in there. And then two more real quick. One, my son, Wesley, if dad's out there, all about witching hour and like the craziness late at night where kids just scream for no reason, whatever. We've been dealing with that. It's tough, man. Like, you don't get much sleep or whatever. He's a good baby. But last night he slept for 5 straight hours in his bassinet.
That's big time.
It was unreal. Major assist to Michelle, because she was the one that was able to get him settled and put him down. That was awesome. Keep doing that, please. We appreciate it. And then shout out to one Jonas Adu for getting picked up by the Charlotte Hornets at a baby.
We love Jonas Adu.
We love Jonas
Adu.
Best player I've ever seen.
On the way up here, me and Curtis were talking some ball, and we were talking about how people were freaking out about the Cal, you need a post presence or you're a fraud comment. And we were like, the funny thing is, he referenced in the video, like, we took off last year when we were throwing the ball into Jonas Adu. It's kind of crazy that people took that and got in a tizzy.
Mm-hmm.
I also am looking forward to watching women's basketball this year. Just giving them a clean slate, I distanced myself from the program for the last couple of years for obvious reasons. Just a clean slate. I don't have super high expectations this year or anything, but I'm excited to watch them play. Excited to watch the Mayberry daughter. Hopefully she's going to be a good player for them. Do we know she's good, right?
Yeah.
Like she's not just like on the team. Like she's
good.
She was there yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So that's exciting. My heavy hitter is a guy by the name of Charles DuBronx Oliveira. They call him Charles DuBronx, Curtis. That means from the Bronx, means from the favela. He's Charles from the favela, grew up in the mean streets of Brazil, became a UFC champion, and went on a crazy run, inspired the whole country. It's a great thing. And, there's a lot of Brazilians in MMA. He might be the best, but he had a big win this past weekend, which I'm not even going to really talk about much. But he loses by KO in June, comes back short, and fairly quick turnaround.
Risky.
Fights. His opponent pulls out, and so he takes on a tough stylistic matchup on short notice, and he's doing it on a fight night in Rio, and he won a $50,000 bonus for performance of the night after he got a win, and he spent that $50,000 bonus by investing back in the favelas, threw a little block party in his hometown for the kids. Oh, I don't know what happened to the video. There we go.
Dude, that was awesome.
Threw a little block party for the hometown, for the kids in the favela. Letting all the kids play, inspiring the community, and he's a hero. He's a hero in Brazil. He's buying the textbooks. He's sending the kids to school, funding their clothes and all that. Truly a man of the people, and I love seeing athletes that get big and get famous and get rich, and I'm sure he's changed a little bit over the years, but you just love to see that. You love to see a guy. Did I knock Curtis off? Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
I forgot it's not a 3-person stream.
That's right. Just so we're on one camera this time.
But I love Charles Oliveira. Anybody who watches MMA knows Charles Oliveira and has respect for Charles at the very least. I want to shout him out, man. He's in a stage of his career where he's never going to win a title again unless it's the BMF title. But I just love seeing stuff like that, man.
The BMF.
He might win. He might win the BMF. Yeah.
The BMFP. Yeah. Okay.
Same idea.
Yeah. No, I love that. And also, real quick, finally, before we move on and hear from Michael, my other heavy hitter was that man with that ice cream cone that was here earlier.
Dude, it was this
I'm not,
tall,
guys.
bro.
It was
this tall.
It was art because it wasn't like it was just somebody made it for him. Like, no, that sucker was like, I don't know if you call it a triple dip or triple scoop or whatever, but that was impressive.
And he was walking with it like it was no big deal.
Yeah. Like he had done this before.
What's crazy is his wife, I assume, was with him. She had a pretty hefty ice cream cone, but hers looked like nothing compared to his.
Yeah,
that was insane.
Shout out to that man. Yeah, because that's that took some onions on him to go ahead with it. So, but there you have it. There's our heavy hitters, and we'll get to Michael Bratton and hear what he has to say about the latest when it comes to the coaching search. But want to remind everybody that Goat Lab of Fayetteville, Goat Lab Red, is a great place when it comes to hanging out and watching Razorback games because they have it going on when it comes to all the great signature brews like the Razorback or Tusk and Tusk Light. And it's also a great place for signature burgers. And don't forget the progressive wing deals that they do each and every game day where the more points that get scored, the less the wings are. And it's a great deal. It's always fun to be hanging out there. We enjoyed our live stream there last Saturday. And I'm sure we'll be doing another live show there here very soon. And it's such an awesome spot. And it's at 1214 North Garland Avenue. right there in Fayetteville. It's the newest place, especially for a lot of you that are still wanting to get into the drawing for that Nikki Glazier concert, or comedy show, I should say, that's going to be at Goat Lab Brewery up in Lowell. Well, here's the thing: is you have to go in and get your drawings there at Goat Lab Red, 1214 North Garland Avenue. Just go to the bartender and say, hey, I want to put an entry in, and they'll take it there from there. So be sure to check them out. It's Goat Lab Red in Fayetteville, 1214 Garland Avenue. And we appreciate them and their sponsorship here with us at Inside Arkansas. So we know that, again, the coaching search continues to go on. And one of the things that I know people are always fascinated by is not only our opinions, but other opinions from other people outside the state of Arkansas, what they think Arkansas is going to do when it comes to their coaching search. So we had a chance to catch up with Michael Bratton of that SEC podcast. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hear from the man himself.
Razorback fans, we know that Arkansas still does not have a permanent head coach. They have an interim coach, but they also have games to play, 6 of them to be exact, against SEC foes. Texas A&M coming to town this Saturday, and it's going to be a big one for Arkansas. But we're going to talk about everything going on with the Razorback coaching search as well as the SEC as we welcome in Michael Bratton of that SEC podcast, friend of the show. And it's been too long, but Michael, as always, man, appreciate you joining us. How you doing this afternoon?
Hey, doing great, John. Thanks for having me. And yeah, it was a nail biter on Saturday, wasn't it? Arkansas coming to Tennessee, but the good guys won. You know what?
Yeah, totally. Well, the thing is it's on brand. It's not even a Tennessee thing. I think Razorback fans are just like, well, they're always going to almost win, and they do just enough to lose, it seems like. Actually, let's start right there before we get into the chaos. Arkansas has done pretty awful when it comes to one-possession games. It's pretty much what got Sam Pittman fired. What goes into that? I talk about winning culture and how that's kind of maybe a general way of doing it, but why has Arkansas constantly, and especially this year, keep losing these one-possession games to where, hey, if they found a way to turn it around, Sam Pittman would probably still be the head coach, but what is making this happen so often to Arkansas?
Yeah, I think it's certainly fair to put a lot of that blame on Sam Pittman. I do an updated graphic on the current SEC coaches and their record at their current stop with how they are in one-score possession games. And obviously Arkansas fans are well aware Sam Pittman was at the bottom of that list. The only one worse is Hugh Freeze, who he'll probably get fired on Sunday. So, I think you could put a lot of that on Sam Pittman. I'm a huge Sam Pittman fan. I think it was, not that he needed to stay at Arkansas. I think it was well past time. But more specifically, you asked about this season. I don't know that you could pin it all on Sam Pittman. And obviously, the issue occurred once again with Bobby Petrino as a head coach. But this year, it really felt like turnovers. The Ole Miss turnover at the end of the game, had that not happened, I picked Arkansas to win that game outright, and I was feeling pretty good about it. And it literally came down to that. And then, of course, Mike Washington against Memphis. Buddy, I believe it was every red zone possession Arkansas had not only scored, but scored a touchdown, and he dropped the ball. So, again, if that doesn't happen, you win that one. And then even Tennessee, 3 turnovers. You lose on the road by 3 points. You're not going to win any. I don't care if you're Alabama or Georgia or it doesn't matter the team. If you turn the ball over 3 times on the road in the Southeastern Conference, you're just not going to win. So I think this year it really came down to turnovers, which is even more heartbreaking because all of those I think were preventable.
Well, and it's also funny, too, because since 2022, Arkansas on the road, every single game has been one possession game. And at home is when they get embarrassed. So try to make sense out of anything. Nobody really knows. But we know, though, that it is the halfway point of the season for Arkansas. 6 games left. Bobby Petrino is the interim coach. I have always been a huge Bobby Petrino fan. I was so glad when he became the OC at Arkansas. And there's still apparently a chance that he would get the head coaching job permanently. At least that's what he wants. But before we get into like the coaching situation in general, just what do you make of Petrino being the head coach of Arkansas once again, like we all anticipated after that 2012 fiasco of him wrecking his motorcycle? And like, just what is an expectation? What do you think he can do, at least here in these final 6 games for Razorback football?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, John. I hate it. I would hate that. I really would. And I've taken some blowback from Arkansas fans. They think this is like some kind of personal attack. And I literally tried to research any negative thing I've said about Bobby Petrino. I'm right there with you. I think hiring him as the offensive coordinator was outstanding. He has turned Taylon Green into arguably the best quarterback in the conference. I've said that for, a year now. So I don't understand where people are getting that I hate Bobby Petrino, but I just think that turning the clock back to 12 years ago, whatever it was, I just don't think that ever works. Heck, I mean, Bobby Petrino tried to do it at Louisville. And I know this isn't Louisville, but again, when does that ever work? And more than ever, this seems to be a young man's game. And again, this is not an anti-Bobby Petrino. If you could hire some coach, I don't think it would work. But if you could hire a rising coach like a John Summerall and keep Bobby Petrino, I mean, that's like the dream scenario. But again, I don't think that would happen. But I just think it's better if Arkansas moves forward, lands him a coach. And I've said this to a couple of Arkansas people that, what they have at Missouri, even what they have at Ole Miss, I think that is all attainable. You got to get alignment. You got to get the right coach in there, get everybody behind doing what's necessary, legally buying these players and hiring the right coordinators. And I mean, heck, Hunter Yurachek said it himself, Sam Pittman was not set up to succeed at Arkansas. And I firmly believe that. So whatever those issues were that were the roadblocks that Arkansas put in front of Sam Pittman, those cannot remain. And what they're doing at Missouri and Ole Miss, they can do in Arkansas. I truly believe that.
Well, and that you mentioned the Yurachek thing. I think that's what made Razorback fans just one of many things kind of like, okay, so why was he still the coach if he wasn't financially set up for success? There's just a lot of questions getting thrown the way the administration and trusting them to whoever the coach ends up being for it to be the right fit. So let's just assume that it's not going to be Bobby Petrino, because as big of a Bobby fan as I am, he's not my number one choice. He's probably not even my top three. But looking at it from a perspective of what this job is, what it could be, assuming that it actually has the support, and you kind of laid it out of being an Ole Miss, Missouri type thing, like what are some realistic coaches, candidates, guys that you like that you think that not only would fit in at Arkansas, but also have high-level success at Arkansas, assuming they're supported?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, it's all speculation, at least from this point, from me. I don't have any insight into who they're actually going to hire or anything like that, but I think the path to doing it, and you see now like James Franklin's available, and I think there's going to be a bidding war perhaps for his services, because I think at a number of schools in the Southeastern Conference, he's probably an upgrade, and I'm thinking of Florida and Auburn and things of that nature. I just don't think that that's even the path you want to get into, regardless of if it's Arkansas or whoever. I think it's foolish. That was 10 years ago. That was the plan. Heck, you think LSU fans would redo the Brian Kelly contract if they could? I guarantee you, if they're being honest with themselves, they wouldn't do it. So 5-10 years ago, you hand these guys all these guaranteed money, and was the best way to resolve it. Now I think it's better to get a rising up and comer, someone you don't have to throw a ton of money behind, and that, I'm not saying be cheap here, but someone that understands that you need players and you got to pay the players. Like, that's why I keep referencing Missouri and Ole Miss, because that's what they're doing. That's why they're having success right now. They're pillaging the portal for any holes they have in their roster, just like Arkansas. Actually, Arkansas has done it quite well, but they're doing it on a budget, and I think it shows on the field on Saturday. So when I look at guys like that, and again, it doesn't mean you have to go hire some cheap coach that doesn't know what the hell he's doing, but I think the number one guy on my board is John Summerall at Tulane. He was at Troy before that. He did an outstanding job at Troy. He's doing that again at Tulane. I really love Alex Golish at South Florida. As soon as he left Tennessee took a dip. And not till this year, again, were Tennessee fans wondering, is it really Josh Heupel with his, call it, the offensive guru, or was it Golish? I mean, that was a fair question up until this year. So guys like that, those would kind of be my top two right now if I'm Arkansas. And I've heard Rhett Lashley too, of course. We've all heard that. But he's another one where I would imagine SMU is not going to let him go cheap. And that goes back to what I was saying with James Franklin. Do you really want to get into a bidding war for Rhett Lashley? I don't think I've seen enough from him to suggest that's a smart plan, to be honest with you.
Well, I'll be honest with you. If they ended up with Alex Golish or John Summerall, I mean, I would be happy with it. I think it'd be really good hires that could, as you said, have potential as young guys that up and coming, as long as they have the support, it could work out. And I think it's interesting too because of the timing. We have coaches that are in college football that are getting fired midseason. You mentioned a few of them. And I've always been curious about it because some people try to say, oh, well, if you get a coach fired earlier, that gives you more opportunity and it gives you more time and you kind of get ahead of the curve a little bit. Do you think that the timing of any of this when it comes to at least Sam Pittman at Arkansas, is that actually have any benefits whatsoever? And if it does, like what does that mean that they probably could have a coach named here in the next couple of weeks? If it's going that, like what does the timing mean when it comes to these coaching changes?
I think it is beneficial. I don't think it's a end all be all, but I do think you want to get a coach in there as soon as humanly possible. And I think that makes it a lot harder in Auburn and Gainesville when they still have a coach. But and for the prime reason, John, of the portal that's coming up in early January. So if you could get a coach in there in early December or late November and have a long time to, again, get all this stuff is not going to happen overnight. The big boosters got to get behind him. The players on the roster, they're going to have an opportunity to meet with the coach, and he's got to build a whole staff of it's different now. It's not just the coordinators and the assistants; it's the personnel department, things of that nature. You got to get all your ducks in a row for when the portal actually opens up, because the way the sport is now, I'm not saying Arkansas should turn around next season and be expecting to win 9 games, but that is 100% reality that it could happen. I mean, it's happening all over the sport. If you hit on the portal, if you get the right coordinators in there and things of that nature. So I do think there is a benefit to doing it. If you're going to do it, you might as well do it early. I really do think.
All right, last one before I let you get out of here, Michael. Going back to the Bobby Petrino thing, I think that this is one of the few occasions where you fire your head coach and you feel like automatically the interim is a better head coach no matter what. Like that's kind of how people felt about Petrino. And it's obvious he wants the job and everything. And he has 7 games. He's lost 1, as you mentioned, close to the Tennessee one. If he wins a certain amount of games, is it like you have to give him the job? I know you talked about how there's some cons there, and I'm with you on a lot of them, but do you see it as like a number of wins where it's like, you got to give him the job? Is it something else that he has to prove, or should it be no matter what he does, if he goes 6-1 in those games, you got to move on and not have him as head coach?
No, I mean, I don't think you completely write it off, because then, what's his motivation for the rest of the season? What's the motivation for the players that, based on what I saw on Saturday, they're going to fight hard for him? So, no, I mean, I certainly think you give him an opportunity. And it starts on Saturday with A&M. I had, I believe Nick Roush, Kentucky Sports Radio. He's outright predicted, which I'm sure your audience will not appreciate that, but he's outright predicting Arkansas to beat A&M. So, I mean, if it starts there, and then I believe the next one is Auburn and Mississippi State, or I may have that in reverse order. But, again, those are all winnable games. If he sits here and wins all 3 of those, I think there's a real good shot he is the next head coach. Now, again, that's a tall task, and we'll see how competitive they are. The rest of the schedule, I believe it's at Texas, at LSU, and then Missouri. You can't, even if he beats those 3, A&M, Auburn, and Mississippi State, and then he gets blown out the next 3, I probably would not bring him back. But as long as they're competitive in those final 3, which could be ridiculously difficult games, I think he gets a long look. And I mean, he doesn't fit that profile to a T I was describing, but he does fit it in the sense that I can't imagine it's going to take a lot of money to get Bobby Petrino as your head coach, because this is not, again, people think I hate Bobby Petrino. I don't think there's like a long list of people dying to hand him the head coaching job at this level. So if he comes with a plan of having a good coordinator and realizing how much it's going to cost to get a real roster in here, and he's willing to take less money, maybe he does fit exactly what Arkansas needs. So, I mean, I could buy into it. And again, Saturday kind of warmed me a little bit to the idea, but I'm still against it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It's just crazy, and it's great to have Bobby Petrino back because Arkansas fans felt like they never got closure. So it's just nice to have that. But I'm with you too. It's just those games were on the road. I'd feel better about it, as weird as it is, because Arkansas just plays their worst games at home. They just love that for some reason. So it should be fascinating, but could all start this weekend against Texas A&M. It's going to be a great one no matter what. But it is Michael Bratton of That SEC Podcast. Follow him wherever podcasts are found, talking all things SEC. As always, Mike, it's appreciate you joining us. It's enjoyable to talk to you once again, man. And I know we'll be catching up with you. Enjoy the rest of football season. All right, my man?
Hey, I appreciate it. And if I may, can I ask you a quick question?
I'm
what
here.
in the world is up with Bobby Petrino and the sunglasses at night? I mean, buddy, what are we doing here?
Dude, because he's cool, man. What do you mean? Like, it's the coolest thing. No, it does. I see that. And when he was doing it as an OC, and I was kind of like, okay, whatever. But now he's a head coach, and I'm like, that never was a thing. So I don't know. Maybe he's got rhyme to his reason, but at least they're nice Ray-Bans, you know? They're not like some cheap glasses or whatever. So, but hey, if he keeps winning with them, and if he finds a way to win with them, I think everybody's for it. But yeah, I don't know, man. He's blocking out the haters. I think that, you know, in this age of college football, all these coaches need something to gimmicky. I mean, they'll start NIL sunglasses. I mean, it's working for them. Keep it up, I guess. But maybe that could be the new cool thing there in Arkansas. Hey, whatever it takes, man. Appreciate you, Mike, as always, dude.
All right, that was Michael Bratton of That SEC Podcast joining us. Appreciate him and everything. And we're here at Blue Ember Smokehouse. We got some food in, still some food left, but it's been awesome. It's awesome stuff here. So
they took care of us.
They did.
They really did.
They hooked us up. You know what my favorite thing about it is? Coke products.
Yeah, love the Coke products. Love the cups too.
Yeah,
you can just go fill up, do whatever you got to do.
Yeah,
nothing worse than asking for having to ask for a refill is way worse than just being able to go get your own refill.
The most deflating thing that happened over the weekend. We were in Hot Springs. We went to the arena, and there were some deflating things that happened, but we got up to the front of the line at the concession stand, and it was Pepsi products.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, gosh, bro. We waited for like 35 minutes, and all I could think about was an ice cold Coke.
That carpet bagging Jeff Long always getting out there.
He must have struck up a deal in Hot Springs.
Must have done it. I want to bring this up too because we went to the interview, but we definitely wanted to make sure that we brought this up. Shout out to Sasha for the great super chat. We really appreciate it, Sasha.
Pops in,
it's awesome. I know interacting with you on social media and everything, but they say totally agree on Lashley. Golish and Summerall ate my top.
They ate them.
That's crazy. They really want this job, man.
Yeah.
If Golish starts eating other candidates, how do you deny that guy the job?
Yeah. It says, I appreciate what Bobby is trying to do, but we need a change all around to lead us in this new generation of NIL and transfer portal. Just my opinion. #WPS.
Very, very, very fair and respectable. Just solid opinion.
We would have read that one without a super chat, honestly.
100%.
Hey, we appreciate it.
Yeah, but we read it with fun and happiness by you giving us the super chat. But no, thank you so much, Sasha. For that. A few other chats here too, because I know we are going to roll out of here and continue to stuff our face and everything. So because that's what we do.
Yeah.
But Michelle says, not going to lie, the song was stuck in my head at 12 a.m. I guess you're talking about our intro.
Oh yeah, she was talking about our intro, and I don't know how anything could have been stuck in her head at 12 a.m. besides. Besides that. But maybe she started singing. I'm trying to think about how she settled him down because I need to figure that out. She might have been just
maybe that's what it was.
Turned into a little lullaby.
Yeah, make Gibbs lullaby.
Yeah.
No, maybe that's the kicker there.
On the way home, I'm gonna record you doing that, and we're just gonna play it.
I like that.
Speaking of, John also Sullivan says intro makes me feel bad for Dudley having to cover this recruiting cycle.
Tough scenes, man.
It is tough, but Dudley does good work, and he's had a great interview this morning. Talking with the commit Jordan Harris over at Maumelle and his coach. So,
dude,
but yeah,
starting a recruiting podcast right as a coach gets fired is almost like starting a business right as the basketball team tanks for the first time.
Man, who would know about that? Who would know anything about that?
It's very relatable. I'm just like, yeah, it's brutal, man.
Yep. Let's see. Also, too, I guess Finch says, okay, I have to ask, do you prefer snapbacks versus fitted hats? I've noticed our guys at Inside Arts will definitely snapback junkies. I prefer fitted personally. I do both, man. That Razorback hat I have, both. That baseball hat I got from Alumni Hall, it's a fitted hat, but this one's a snapback. So.
Yeah, I've got quite a bit of both, but I usually always wear snapbacks or so on the show because if I do a fitted hat, you guys, I like to wear mine backwards quite a bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then I look a little too much like Fred Durst or something.
I own 29 hats. I learned the other
day.
day. 29 hats, and I would say It's probably a good mix. I mean, it's a good mix of both. I haven't gone through them, how many are fitted, how many are snapbacks. I probably have more snapbacks, but I definitely don't I really don't care that much as long as it just feels good on my head.
Yeah. Also, Shane says Curtis, was Cal in a bad mood the other day in the presser? Or is he really unhappy with the team's progression?
I saw a couple of people say that after the Hot Springs thing. Like, he seemed like the vibes were off. He might have been a little bit under the weather. I know there was somebody on the coaching staff who was
Didn't that happen
sick
last year, too, when he was under the weather?
Yeah,
Wow.
and so that might have been the case. But he did seem a little subdued. One thing I noticed when we were there was he's always kind of up and moving around. He was to a degree, but he spent quite a bit of time sitting over by the media table, and he was kind of taking notes and stuff. So it seemed like he might not have been feeling too good. But, I thought yesterday at SEC Media Day, even though he was like challenging his guys to get on the backboards, and saying some of the things that he said there, he had a lot more energy, pep in his step. I thought he was really, really good on set with Trevin and DJ there. So not sweating it, but I do understand what some people were saying about is he okay in Hot Springs?
Yeah, I will say also too, and that should have been a late addition to the heavy hitter. My heavy hitter was Cal Perry for not just going off on Jeff Goodman, being like, "Why are you an idiot?" whenever he asked him a question. So that took a lot of restraint, I'm sure, from Cal.
Yes.
David just says, I've heard from a reliable source that John Nares would be highly intrigued if the Arkansas athletic department reached out, follow me for more to eat.
He's an insider now.
Yeah,
Insider scoop.
Yeah. What are they going to have me do? Nothing, other than just not appreciate all of my giving and all of my heart and passion that I gave to that program, especially in the student section. Arkansas, though, real quick, for a super chat, is guys' power rankings that no one asked for. Number 1, Bama. Number 2, A&M. Number 3, Georgia. Number 4, Ole Miss. Number 5, Tennessee. Number 6, Vanderbilt. Number 7, LSU. Number 8, Texas. Number 9, Missouri. Number 10, OU. Number 11, Florida. Number 12, Mississippi State. Number 13, Auburn. Number 14, South Carolina. Number 15, Arkansas. Number 16, Kentucky.
These are better this week.
They're better.
They're pretty good. Pretty good.
Huge takeaways I'm noticing. Ole Miss, I think they were already down there a little bit.
Yeah.
Getting disrespected for their performance against Washington State, which fair, they stunk in that game.
Shameful effort.
I mean, they've had what was that, 4 now? 1 loss or 1 possession wins? Is it that Ole Miss has
They
had?
beat Tulane by 1,000, and I don't know, was that in that time period?
So Arkansas,
It was
Washington State, LSU,
and
see, they beat Tulane by 1,000.
yeah, but there was also I thought there's the other SEC game. That they
Kentucky.
played.
Kentucky before that,
yeah,
they beat
so.
them by 1 possession. So yeah, it seems like I mean Ole Miss. It's weird because I thought Ole Miss coming into the year was not nearly as good as last year's team, and I still don't really think so. But they're performing better. They're like playing above their ceiling, where last year's team drastically underachieved, but they were better.
I think I respect the Bama take here. That 3-week stretch that they just went on was pretty
They're
damn
undefeated
impressive.
in SEC play.
They're undefeated in SEC play, and
Tennessee this week, right? Yeah.
Tennessee this week, yeah. A&M, undefeated. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Is there anything crazy in the middle there? Shout out to you for having Vandy over LSU since they are favored against LSU
Yeah, how
this
about
weekend.
that?
So yeah,
That's gonna be an interesting one. I lean towards LSU in that game, by the way.
me too. I think
So, which by the way, I see Austin for Work says that he thinks Ole Miss might just not be very good. Like Arkansas and LSU just suck. Listen, I can see the case for that, but the problem is then you start doing that game and you're like, and I know Clemson does suck, and they're a big part of the LSU evaluation. But then you start looking at it, it's like, so who then actually is good?
Yeah.
And then Bama's number 1 on this power ranking. They lose to Florida State, who has a couple other bad losses. It's like, you can really start playing that game with everybody, literally everyone. The preseason favorite to win the title just fired their coach. It's like, at some point, do we just say that, and Oregon beat them by in overtime, do they suck now that they've lost to Indiana? It's like, you could really go through literally the entire country and be like, well, they actually kind of suck if you look at them through the right lens.
I learned this last night when I was doing my SEC roundtable on Locked On. Do you guys know what the margin of victory average is for SEC games this year?
3.4.
It's higher than that, but it's close. Well, sorry, for overall games, it's like 10 points. To put it in that perspective, it's lower than the NFL. That average in the entire NFL. So point is like, oh, well, these teams barely beat anybody. It's like everybody's barely beating anybody. The 1 possession games. Because here's the thing: if Arkansas beat Ole Miss and beat Tennessee and beat Memphis, Sam Pittman still be the coach.
So Trey is correct here that if LSU loses to Vandy this weekend, Brian Kelly's he already has heat.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's really about to get fired, but things can change quickly, as we just saw with James Franklin. I actually had a few buddies on Monday's show while we were doing the show. I meant to bring it up. They were texting. They were like, dude, how sick would it be if Brian Kelly took that Penn State job? Like, they're dying.
That would be
LSU
funny.
fans are dying for Brian Kelly to just leave. Like, I don't think they want to fire him, but they don't love him as their head coach. You lose to Vanderbilt and, a team that at one point looked like the national title favorite. It's kind of crazy how quickly things can change.
I cannot get over the right side of history argument about why they should have fired Sam at the end of last season. I mean, looking at what this could be, you could have Florida and Auburn
Literally.
and LSU.
Oklahoma could have been in the mix too.
Sure.
Yep.
And then, like, Wisconsin's going to open. Florida State might open. I mean, there's just
Virginia Tech's a big
Virginia
job.
Tech's yeah, it's crazy, man, how this is happening. And you got to compete against all of them. So it's
One
just
day,
like,
I want someone to just admit that we were right about this. Like, just
Never gonna
someone,
happen.
please, because I know that you guys hate that. But it's like in that moment, people were so against it. And I just wish one person would look back and be like, you know what? I apologize. Y'all were right about that.
Yeah, no, it's never going to happen. But I will say real quick about LSU. I think they're just pissed because every coach that they have had, the previous 3 coaches, won a national championship within like their first 2-3 seasons, and they're probably like, "Well, time's ticking. This is your 3rd year, Brian Kelly. What are you doing over here? Not winning titles." Either way, let's see, and then final super chat here. For some reason, there we go. Sharkasaw says the point differentials between Vandy and LSU is very wide. SEC top heavy AF.
Yeah.
Vandy did Vandy beat South Carolina like bad? Did they like embarrass them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty hefty.
Sellers got hurt.
That's
early in
right.
that
That's right.
game.
They beat them bad, and then
31-7.
LSU. What did the final end up being in that LSU South Carolina game?
Remember?
Yeah, it's
But I gotta say, I know LSU wins close games, but like the Florida game where they had like 5 turnovers and they barely beat Florida. That's one that like reflects poorly on LSU. You beat South Carolina by 10 when they had.
They beat everybody 20-10. By the way,
It's
Yeah,
crazy,
it's a
and
good
so it's
story.
like I get why that's like underwhelming, but I'm like, could they not beat Vanderbilt that exact way?
I mean, I think they could. I think it's absolutely possible.
And I think we're going to go into the game with them whenever Arkansas plays them. We're going to be like, well, they score 20 points every week, and they're going to beat Arkansas 20-13. Like that's just like how it works.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, guys, any final thoughts on the show today as we close up here from Blue Ember Smokehouse, Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, not really. I was happy to be out here. Appreciate them having us out and stuffing our faces with a bunch of good barbecue and everything. It was a good time, good location. Make sure you check it out. There's 6 of them throughout the entire state: Texarkana, Jonesboro, West Little Rock, Fort Smith, and then Hot Springs and here in Rogers. So really good time. Appreciate it. And shoot, I'll be back here to eat more food.
Yeah, I'm a huge Blue Ember guy, man. I'll be wearing my hat from here on out, and I appreciate them treating us good, man. They treated us really well at both locations. Obviously, it worked out better with the internet and everything here, but they were good to us at both locations. They really took care of us and made sure we had a good time, and we appreciate that.
Yep, it was awesome. We appreciate coming out here, appreciate the great food, appreciate the great vibes, and appreciate everybody listening and tuning in and hanging out with us. It's awesome, and we're going to keep doing this each and every day with Inside Arkansas Live. We'll be back tomorrow, and we'll also have some pregame action, some postgame action, all that good stuff here this weekend too. And we got all the great stuff when it comes to all Razorback sports and covering all things Razorbacks. So be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas and check out all of our audio podcasts wherever podcasts are found, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, Pod at the Palace, Bombastic Podcast, Inside Arkansas Recruiting Podcast, Inside Arkansas Football Podcast, all that great stuff. You can also check us out on social media at Inside Arkansas. And that'll do it for us today. For Andrew Ellis, Curtis Wilkerson, intern Cameron, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel. Tomorrow afternoon, have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you then. I may have to have you in the stream for me because we are still live and it is in my